Welcome everyone, John Denton here. This webinar is for all my mentoring group participants, coaching and consulting clients and any invited guests. And it's based upon the content that we covered in a recent business owner mentoring group workshop. And today I and my friend and associate Peter Butler are going to be talking about digital media marketing. So there's a lot of hype and misinformation out there about online digital media marketing, and Peter Butler from Smarter Websites is on this webinar to help us put the record straight and give you some great ideas on how you can market your business more effectively online. But before we get into that, I'll just cover a few housekeeping matters for those who are new to webinars. So on your screen you should see a little button, something like the one on the right hand side of this picture here. It will be smaller than that and it will be slightly different because it's a participants panel rather than the operators panel, but it will be similar to that. The important thing is that if you click on the white arrow in the little orange background, it will expand out into a panel and you will be able to raise your hand, chat, ask questions and all those sort of things. So to make sure that you can find your control panel and you know what I'm talking about, if you could just click on the raise your hand button so that I can see that A, you can hear me, and B, you found your control panel. Yep, that all seems to be honky-dory, so thank you for that. All right, so anytime during the session, if you want to ask a question or interact, you can either type it in the question box there or you can raise your hand and then I will turn your microphone on and you can speak to the whole group. So excellent, that's really good. And we will finish before or by or at 8 a.m. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to review the content from the last workshop, which was very well run by Peter Butler, and maybe introduce some new content. We'll see how it goes. Answer any questions that you've got that may have come up since you run that workshop or that come up through today's session. If we've got time, we may be able to offer you the opportunity for Peter to give you a critique on your website. And then I'll very briefly talk about preparation for our next business owner mentoring group when we get together in August. So that's what we're going to cover. So first of all, just going back a little bit, we started doing Marketing 101 in the business owner mentoring group a couple of months ago, and we've looked at different elements of marketing. And I just want to link this back to what we've been talking about, that business really comprises of two elements, maths and psychology. Maths, of course, is getting the numbers right in terms of your pricing and profitability and so on. And the psychology is, of course, the marketing. And it's all about making sure that you get both of them right. Because if you get the maths and the psychology wrong, then you don't have a business, or you won't have a business for very long. If you get the maths right, but you get the psychology wrong, in other words, you've got all your pricing and everything sorted out and profitability, but you don't do your marketing well enough, then you'll go out of business slowly. And of course, the next thing is, if you get the maths wrong and the psychology right, in other words, you're not charging enough, you're not making enough profit, your cash flow's stuffed or whatever, but you're very, very good at selling and marketing and getting the deals, then you go out of business quickly because you make lots of sales but don't make any money. So, of course, the optimum that we're looking for is to get the maths right and the psychology right. So now that we're doing marketing, and today the digital media marketing, then it's about getting your marketing right. So again, just a link back to what we've been talking about. Marketing is really about the 3 M's. Who's the niche market? Get into a niche an inch wide, a mile deep. What's the message that you're going to convey to them? And then what's the medium you're going to use to best reach your market. Not all markets are reachable by or reachable in the best way by the same medium. So today we're going to be talking about one of those mediums, the digital media marketing medium. Most people have a website these days, and if you're good and you've got somebody like Peter Butler to set up your website for you, it'll be a smart website that actually generates leads and works for you. And then you can drive people to your website by a whole variety of different means, and these are some of the things that Peter's going to be covering. So it includes things like websites, blogs, social media, Google, and search engine optimization and being found. There's no point in having a brilliant website if nobody can find you. So at this point, I'm going to turn Peter Butler's microphone on and introduce Peter to the group. So Peter, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
And good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming onto the call. Peter, I'm going to start by running a little poll and asking people to give us some sort of feedback on where they're at with a few things, and then after we've done a couple of quick polls, I'll let you loose on them.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good.
All right. So here's the first poll question. Okay. Do you know, and I mean actually know, not assume, where your leads for your business come from? So everyone, if you could just vote and tick one of those options. You're not sure, could be one of several sources. I've got no idea. Or yes, I measure and record where inquiries come from. Okay, so I'm going to close that poll in 3, 2, 1. And now let's have a look at the results.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty good group on here, Peter. They tell us that they're measuring and recording where their inquiries come from, but 20% are not sure.
Okay.
All right, so let me just ask another quick question, and that is about...
Nice little tool.
I beg your pardon?
A nice little tool.
It's very nice, yeah. So this one says, what is your primary marketing medium for lead generation? So do you primarily advertise through Yellow Pages or newspaper ads? Is it through networking and referrals? Is it through your website, through social media, or some other means? And maybe if you use, because you can only pick one of them, if you use several of them or a number of them, maybe put other. So if you could vote now, that'd be terrific. And I will close the poll in 3, 2, 1, closed. And let's have a look at the results from that. Interesting. Nobody said website or social media.
Yeah, so you might have had answers there where they're included, but because they're blended, people have chosen other.
Okay. Well, let's ask, though, anyone who voted other, if you'd like to tell us what the other is, just raise your hands on your control panel and I'll turn your microphone on. Okay. Gary, your microphone is on.
Direct mail is pretty much how we set up our business initially, and we have reps.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, direct mail is a very valid marketing medium.
Yep. And it's interesting with the networking and referrals as well. And this is one of the things that I say to people is that, you know, regarding online digital marketing, you know, a lot of people get their website and then sit back and expect a surge of leads, or they get into social media and they expect this surge. And, you know, that's not the case. You shouldn't ever change what you do offline, as in networking and referrals. Your website and your social media is a tool that you use to qualify people, to, you know, increase your credibility, your authority. We'll sort of cover a bit more of that later. But a lot of people make that mistake that, right, great, I've got a website now, where's the flurry of traffic? You know, you've got to think about it differently.
Yeah. Okay, let me take the poll off and put your first slide up, Peter.
Okay, great. So the three biggest changes, is this you unleashing me officially?
Yes, it is, yes. You're unleashed.
Okay, woo! Okay, so the three biggest changes in the last 3 years are these three things: real-time search results, local search results, and social signals. Last year, for those who try and keep up with SEO, search engine optimization, Google made two huge changes, which is the best thing that's ever happened for you know, small to medium business owners. It gives us a chance to actually rank well for the first time, because they've taken away the hype and a lot of the smoke and mirrors. So if you can go to the next slide, John.
Yep.
So we'll talk about real-time search results. Now, real-time search results is all about, and I covered this in the last workshop, is the fact that the way Google now index content, and index means to know of, to know exists, they've changed the way they do it, and they do it very quickly. Now, to use an example, and this was a couple of years ago now, a client of mine, Tony Inman actually, who's in the advanced mentoring group, had an email, and it was actually spam, but it looked legitimate. He sent it to me. I'd already received that email myself, and I thought, okay, this is newsworthy content. So I wrote a post about it, warning people about this email and how to look for it and identify its spam. I published that content. What I did then was, the title of the content was "Spam Email, Be Warned," or something common written about. I went to Google, did a search, and lo and behold, there's my article, not only on page 1 in Google, but position 1 in Google. Now, I did that search 6 minutes after I published it. So that shows you that Google are indexing content very quickly. You've got to remember, to play the game with Google, their mantra is user experience. That's it, those two words. So if they can give you a good user experience, which is the results you're looking for when you do a search, then you're going to be a happy client with Google. You're not going to go to Bing or Yahoo or whatever. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a change from the old days of trying to promote your websites through keywords and fancy, devious means behind the scene. Yeah,
absolutely. The thing is with Google, you know, it really is common sense, a lot of it. I mean, yes, they have a complex algorithm, but if you come back to user experience and if your content lines up with that, the thing is with Google is that to win the game, it's almost like you've got to have 100 points. Now, everything you do within Google, backlinks and all these other you know, keywords and all the other elements to getting your site ranking well, everything earns maybe not 1 point. One element might accrue you 5 points, something else might be half a point. But if it's real valuable content, then it has to score well. You've just got to be consistent with it. So back to the real-time search results. So that's one thing. They index the content very quickly. The other thing that you would have noticed now is when you put in a keyword, as opposed to, say, 3 years ago, when you put in a keyword, Google suggests the rest of the sentence for you. It gives you a few options, so it's predicting what you might type in. So if you actually publish new content to your website on a regular basis, there's a good chance that they'll suggest terms related to your website, which in turn will direct more people to your website. So predictive suggestions, his search has evolved even in the last 12 months. It's become incredibly predictive. So have a play after. Put in some key terms. See what Google is suggesting.
Well, where were you talking about putting them? Putting them into what?
Into Google search. Simply open up google.com.au.
Yeah.
If you put in website, it'll come up with website design in Melbourne, website design in Perth, and different suggestions. So that's predictive suggestions.
Okay.
And those suggestions are coming from relative new content that's being published on the web.
Right. So if you're using the right keywords in your content that relates to what your website's all about, then there's a better chance that your website will come up in the predictive suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you another example of that. If you, say, 4 years ago, if you did a search for PDF, on page 1 in Google, it would have come up Adobe this, Adobe that. You've only got 10 search results in the search results area, in the free area. We're not talking AdWords, the ads down the side, or the top 3 ads. We're talking in the organic area in the center of the page, which is where 70% of people click anyway. That's where you want to rank because, hey, guess what? It doesn't cost you any money. So what was I saying?
We're talking about predictive suggestions.
Yeah. So if you put in PDF, Adobe would come up 10 times. Then what happened? There's been a lot of PDF software development. So there's a lot of other people other than Adobe. So Google realised, hang on, why are we just showing Adobe? Yes, they're the most authoritative. Yes, but there's a lot of other people who have got fresher, newer, probably more relevant content. So that sort of helped that evolvement of showing fresh, real-time search results because there's a lot of other developers. Does that help to give it a better context?
Yes, absolutely. It's about content marketing these days, or that's the buzzword.
Yeah, absolutely.
And keeping your website refreshed and changing and dynamic.
Yeah, and all relevant to the marketplace. The thing is, with your website, you don't necessarily want, when people search for a term related, say if they search for website design, I actually don't want my homepage to show up for that search term. I want a page that's talking about website design to show up. Why? Because it directly addresses the person's question, which means they're going to read the content, which means they're going to stay on the website longer, which means they're more likely to stay engaged and click on another page. And all of those things give me brownie points with Google. See, if they go to another page, then they're likely to stay even longer. They're likely to follow through with a call to action. Phone us now or use our contact page or whatever. So, which just makes sense. That's the outcome you want to achieve. Okay, so we'll move on, just because of time, we'll move on to the next slide.
I was just going to say on that point, there was a time way back when people went through, and I'm one of them, I admit this, that created a lot of dummy type websites that were keyword rich and all that sort of thing to get people to click on Google Ads so that I could make some money.
Yep.
And I think what you're talking about now is this is Google getting around all those spammy type websites so that they don't come up in the searches anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, all of that's been done out last year, and Google are now refining it. See, the biggest change was all these backlinks. And a backlink is simply, say if I've got a link on my website, John, to yours.
Yep.
For you, that's a backlink, okay? So the more backlinks you have, the more important your website must be. That was how Google measured, one of the things, how they measured how important or relevant or how much authority a website had. And that was fine in theory, except that you did have websites that were simply created for backlinks. Now, I did the same. I created a 10,000 page website all around fishing to give backlinks to another website that I have.
Yep.
And that website now has been slammed by Google. It's dropped in rankings, and if I hadn't have shut it down, it would have actually caused damage to the website that it was looking at, where it had all the links looking. So yeah, that thing's been undone. So this is why I say for small to medium business owners, now is just a beautiful time to make sure you've got your website set up correctly, because you really can leverage, because that's what Google are looking for, because you've got the answers to the pain points, good user experience if you show up.
Yeah, that's
okay, so in the interest of time, go on.
Yep. It's coming.
So let's go to, go on, John.
Local search results was...
Yeah, local search results, John, sorry.
Yep, you've got that now.
Okay, so as I said, it's all about user experience. Now, local search results, Google have suddenly realised that, and again, using, say, 3-4 years ago, if you search for, local cafe, chances are something in Iowa or, some remote area might have come up, which is not going to give you a good user experience. So how do Google get around that? Well, within Google, you've got a whole host of tools. You've got Google Analytics, Google Webmaster Tools, Google Business Listing. Google Local Places is the newest thing out. Now, it's been out for a number of years. However, again, using this 100-point score, Google are now placing a higher point score between people who have a local places registered. Now, to make sure that that is real and valid, because you can imagine anything online you can duplicate and make it fictitious, when you go to register your Google local places, they will actually send out a postcard, like a real printed postcard with a PIN number on it, so you can verify your local listing. They won't send it to a post office box. It has to be to a street address. So you can see that Google are really taking it very seriously, this local places. They want those businesses to be legitimate, brick and mortar businesses.
Yeah.
So if they're going to that amount of trouble, you can see to verify the legitimacy of those businesses, then it goes to reason that they must give that a higher point score as to their rankings and results for the search terms related either to that business or around that business. You've just got to play the game with Google. It's that simple. And to give you an idea of a couple of achievements we've done, my own local business is, and I say this to a lot of business owners, even if your business is a home business and you don't necessarily want people to come there, that's fine. But still register it. You've got to have your business street address. In the Google Maps now, my business has a gold star because I'm special. I know, because I am in my own mind. However, what we've also done is we've set up those local places maps correctly, and that's a part of what we do. Another example of that, this other fishing business that I'm involved with and become a partner in, is Wilderness Island, which is up in Exmouth. Now, Wilderness Island is actually across the Gulf on the mainland. It's an island by tide. Now, technically, it doesn't actually exist. It's just the name of the guy's business, and he named it Wilderness Island. Yet, what I've done now is I've registered that with Google Places. We've verified it. We've actually put in a road, which is a dirt track called Wilderness Drive, which now actually appears on Google Maps. So I've turned what is just a business name and a guy's passion to live on an island into a legitimate place in Google Maps with its own road, which doesn't exist. So you can see the sort of power that you can use if you operate your business legitimately, and play the game with Google.
Yeah, and I think
questions?
the thing to bear in mind there as well is that many more or a growing percentage of people now are accessing search through mobile.
Yes.
And a lot of it is people looking for places or things, and there's all sorts of apps now that use Google Maps to bring up these sort of things. So that's why it's just becoming such a powerful thing. It's getting used more and more all the time.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah. You're right. So that sort of pretty well covers local search results. You've just got to play the game with Google, and Google will play the game with you.
Do you want to say anything about Delta Dental?
Oh, yes, that's right. Delta Dental was a fantastic outcome. Delta Dental, when we first were engaged by them, their web address was actually Delta RD. One thing you've got to realise with your domain name, the older it is, the more authority it's got. But in that 100-point score realm, that might only account for 0.5 of a point. So they had Delta RD. I recommended they get rid of that and put Delta Dental, because it was important search engine-wise to have the word dental in the URL. So there was a bonus, it's got dental, but there was a demerit point because it was a new domain. Anyway, we went ahead, registered the domain name, thinking of the bigger picture. We did the website work, we published it. Within 3 weeks, Delta Dental was on page 1 in Google, position 3 for its primary search term, which is Dentists Rockingham. Now, not a huge amount of search volume for Dentists Rockingham, 320 is the exact number, but you know that they're pretty well focused. If they're searching for Dentists Rockingham, what do they want? A dentist in Rockingham. So even though it's only small volume, now if he only got 10% of those 320 into phone inquiries, that's 32. If he only converts 10% of those into actual bookings, that's 3 per month for nothing. Okay, there was the initial setup, but there was no ongoing monthly fees. It was just the fact that we got it structured right, and that's the key. So there he is, you know, and if his average client is, say, $500 a year, there's $1,500 created per month for every year. So you multiply that out by 12, I can't do that in the head. A lot of money for a one-off only investment. Now, not only was he page 1, position 3 in Google within 3 weeks, because we did the local places listing, in the right-hand side, it displayed his map, which had his street address, his phone number, so it made it very easy for people to actually pick up the phone and phone through. So that 10% I said is very conservative. I'd be surprised if it was less than 50% because of the way Google local places was structured. Makes sense?
Amazing. Yep. Yep. Just quickly before we move on to the next slide, when I was in the UK recently, the first time I turned my computer on in the UK and connected to the internet and went on to Google, it said, oh, you're in the UK, would you like to start using google.co.uk? So it actually localized my searches to where I was in the UK.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good. I'm glad you shared that, John. It just shows the power, what they want to do, user experience.
Absolutely. There's no point in me being in the UK doing a search for something in the UK and it's bringing up all the Aussie ones. So
exactly,
giving me a very good experience. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Social signals. So, social signals is not necessarily social media, but it could be, and it is. So social signals is all about, again, using user experience as the baseline. So it's about engagement. It's about the time on the site. So they're social signals. Now, there's other things your website can do and have on it that will give Google indicators as to how open you are to engagement. Now, if you have a look at my website later, Smarter Websites, and you read some of the posts, and I write regular posts, not as regular as I advocate, by the way, because my life's the same as any business owner, too many things to do and not enough time. But on those posts, number one, I'm doing regular content, right? That's a social signal to Google that I'm contributing to a community. I'm contributing valuable information to help people, okay? Social signal number one. Social signal number two is that people read those posts because Google, how do Google know that? Because they measure how long people, number one, what pages they go to. So they go to a page which is the newest post, newest article, newsworthy article. They'll notice that they're staying on there 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, social signal, and then some people are actually making a comment, which is another social signal. Okay, Now, if you were to go to my website afterwards, and for those who were at the workshop, if you've been to my website and read a post and you haven't made a comment, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because if you'll make a comment, there's an opportunity for you to put your website address in there, your email address, which won't be published, and it tells you that, and then you make your comment. When I authorise that comment, because it notifies me a comment's been made and I authorise it, so you've got that control, then when I publish that, authorise it, and it gets published, you get a backlink to your website. So now the legitimacy on that to Google is very high, because Google, rationalise it out. Hang on, this guy's taken the time to write an article. People have made a comment, so that must be a legitimate comment, and it's engagement. So therefore, that backlink to your website carries a higher weight than, say, the old method of putting a backlink on a directory website. I mean, directory websites still have validity, by the way, depending. But it's a legitimate backlink, and that's how Google view it. There's engagement going on here. So does that sort of help to put that into context?
Yes, definitely. And it's a good strategy to visit blogs and websites that are relevant to what your website is and make comments, and make sure
absolutely.
Yeah.
So now what you've got to realise too is that everything we do online, there's two entities we're playing the game with, and it really is a game. The two entities are basically people and search engines. It's that simple. Search engines, we want to please them because we want to rank high, and people, we want to please them because we want them to be engaged and to use our contact form or pick up the phone, whatever it is. So by you making a comment, so not only is there a backlink to your website, great for the search engines, but guess what else? Other people are reading that post, then they see your comment. Now, if you're smart enough to set up a gravatar, which is not difficult, by the way, but know the power of it. Gravatar is it's an acronym, globally recognised avatar. And you've got an opportunity of putting a thumbnail image there of your logo or mugshot. My recommendation is mugshot. Logos aren't personal, they're not engaging. Having your mugshot in front of a logo is better, but certainly having a mugshot, because guess what? People want to do business with people, and when they see your face, the trust and credibility is higher.
And
so,
when they see most of our faces.
Yes, and mine especially, John. Thanks.
Yeah, I was coming to that. Just in the interest of time, we haven't got time to go into detail on gravatars now. But where can people find out about that?
Well, look, that's the thing. And we set all this up. We have. What we've done with the whole website and online marketing process is we've broken it all down into modules. So we have our local hero package, which is all of the things that I've mentioned so far with Google. It also includes setting up a WordPress account with a Gravatar account. So it basically is your online persona. So it's Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, local places, Google authorship. Now, if we had time to get into that, that's a whole other conversation about legitimacy. So it's playing the game with Google plus your WordPress plus your Gravatar account. So if anybody's interested in that whole module, the local hero module, then you can contact me either through my website. My office number is 08 9439 2820, so 9439 2820, or contact me through my website,
which is smarterwebsites.com.au.
smarterwebsites.com.au, or you can go to send me an email, peter@smarterwebsites.com.au, and I can just run you through more detail on the local hero package. But it is the starting point for your online profiles and helping your website rank better.
Yeah. We've had a comment here from someone, Peter, about saying, I've been very wary about approving comments on web pages in case they are spam or in some way allow a dodgy person to interact with or damage the site.
Oh, good question. Really good question. Well done. And look, if there's questions, put your hand up. Look, absolutely. You've got to look at the comment. The point is, do you know the person, firstly, or know of the person? And look, if there's a backlink, there'll be a website link in there. If that link looks like it's spammy, it probably is.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Yeah. Yeah, look, comment spam. With our websites, we put in a spam filter so that is minimised. You know, we've had 5,000 captured and 3 have got through. So that's really a defining moment. Does it look like spam? You can visit the website yourself if you like, and if it's like, yeah, well, I don't want people going there, then don't approve it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we've got to keep moving, Peter.
Yeah, okay. The thing is, too, with your post, pretty well ask for people to make comments, too. You know, at the end of your post, you know, right down the bottom, please add your comment below or let us know what you think or whatever it is. Some sort of call to action is always good. Okay, moving right along, John.
Yeah. All right, the next slide's up.
Okay,
Do you want to say anything about that one? I do want to run another little poll and see who's using social media.
Okay.
Can I do that?
You can.
I will. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm just interested to know if you're not using social media, then what is it that's stopping you? Is it because you don't think it's relevant to your market? Is it because you, and I know we weren't talking directly about social media, but this is something that comes up a lot. Is it because you don't know how to, or you know how to but you don't have the time, or some other reason? I'll give you 3 seconds, more seconds to vote, and then we'll see what the answers are. So 3, 2, 1, closing now. And this is probably the most common answer I get as well.
Yep.
Is this not?
Look,
go on.
Yeah, it's an interesting response. That I've got a colleague here in Perth that I've been badgering for about 12 months to use social media because I know it will work for his business. I think the question with that response, and the response might be accurate and valid, with this particular person, what they're saying is that their target market is CEOs of large organisations, and they're saying that they're not on the social media scene, and that may well be valid. However, there's lots of different platforms, so there's 2 points I'd like to make. There's lots of different platforms, so LinkedIn is a professional platform, so that's something he should consider, at least. The other question I always ask him is, are your CEOs champions or the champions within that business on the social scene? Because if they're champions, they're PAs, they're secretaries, they're branch managers, whatever, if they're playing on the social media scene, then perhaps they should rethink that thinking.
Yeah, and I think the thing that a lot of people don't realise now is just how powerful LinkedIn has become for promoting businesses and putting your business on LinkedIn. It's almost like having another website. And of course, we cover that in our workshop that we're running for the Small Business Centre in Stirling in August.
Yep.
As a little plug.
Yeah, well, no, and it's a good plug because it's legitimate. Look, there's a lady, Mandy Ryan of Crossbow. Don't look at the website, it's really sad, but that's okay because she's engaged us to make it new. She has signed up with us last week. How did we get that lead? Directly through LinkedIn. LinkedIn in itself is a search engine. So now I've had 2 clients, so nearly $20,000 worth of business just this year directly through LinkedIn. You know, this other Rob Pine of HPH Solutions did a search on Google for website designer, needed a makeover, and I mean, he just came up with everybody saying the same thing. We do great websites, blah blah blah. So he thought, how the heck can I find somebody? How can I verify this? So he went to LinkedIn, website designer. We came up number 1 in the world for website design, which is a really competitive field. 1.27 million search results. So we're pretty proud of that. But the legitimacy is that he went to my profile, he read my profile, which wasn't sales hype, it was just the stuff. He was also able to read all my recommendations, which are legitimate because the business owner has to make them through LinkedIn. 10-minute qualifying call, went out the following week, did a 1-hour presentation. I'm $11,000 richer.
Yep.
So he was pre-sold because of the power of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate it.
Absolutely. And now it's almost become a CRM as well. You can import your contacts into it and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the subject of another. That's the topic of another subject, or subject of another topic, whatever.
Yep.
I'm opening it up now for questions before we finish off. So if anyone on the webinar would like to ask a question or make a comment, just please press the raise your hand button and I'll turn your microphone on. Otherwise, we'll go into wrap. Yes, Gary would like to ask a question. Gary, go ahead.
I believe, Peter and John, that Google give your site quality scores as part of their criteria. How can you find out what your quality score is and track it?
Good point. Well, I mean, there's two. I've been reading some interesting information about this quality score recently, and I don't have a definitive answer. The old way of them doing that was the Google PageRank. That's not what you're referring to, though, is it?
No.
No. Okay. So the Google
Page, a combination of things. It's some formula that they use to give you an overall score, which then, if you were using AdWords, it helps in your cost per click and a couple other things as well. So it seems quite an important thing. I just can't find out too much about it.
Yeah, look, and I'm the same. I've had a look around. What I tend to do, Gary, is when something like this comes out, I sort of read up on it, and I have read up on it. I am aware of it, but I sort of back away and let the dust settle for a while, because invariably they're reworking things. Things will change over the sort of 1 to 3 month period. So I sort of let the dust settle, and then I go back in and research it thoroughly. But yeah, trying to find out information. Look, with Google, they really don't want to give away too much. You know, Matt Cutts is their representative, and but look, a valid question, and certainly something to track, the same as the Google authorship elements and the local places.
Yeah, it's I mean, you're right. Google don't give too much away because they don't want people bucking the system. So if people know too much, people will fudge things.
The bottom line is that there's only 10 places on the home page, so they can't give the answer away. But it comes back to the common sense, Gary. With the is this adding value to the people who are reading this website, reading this content? Is it adding value? If you use that as your platform, it's the same as just giving basic good service. That's going to help you build your business. If your margins and everything else is correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll certainly be keeping tabs on it, Gary, that's for sure.
Keep focused on the user experience.
Absolutely.
All right, we're coming to the end now. We're out of time, so I'm going to wrap. Peter, thank you very much for running the workshop session when I was away, and for coming on the webinar this morning. And
hopefully I added value.
You sure did. Just tell us once again how people can contact you if they've got any questions or want any help.
Okay, so first up is the website, smarterwebsites.com.au, or peter@smarterwebsites.com.au, or the office line on 9439 2820.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, just quickly summarizing, why digital media marketing is so important. It's a fantastic way to build brand awareness in what is now an online global world. That's a bit of a doubling up, isn't it? Anyway, you know what I mean. It can get you ranked highly in search engines. We've talked quite a lot about that. That's really, really critical, particularly with so many people going mobile these days. It's a great way to promote events that you're having, products and service launches, specials, whatever. It's a free marketing tool once you've got the things set up. And it can, with social media and all those sort of things, you can drive a lot of people to your website. But you've got to have that very good, well set up website in the first place. And you can create a sales pipeline with all these things to qualify leads and inquiries that are coming in, and position yourself as the brand authority in your area. And of course, with the social media thing, it's all about people doing business with people and building trust. When they see recommendations and positive comments from other people, it gives them confidence in using you. So that's a very, very quick summary. It's a very big topic, of course. Now, for those who are members of my business owner mentoring group, for the next workshop, review that marketing questionnaire again. It is all about the 3 M's, and that's what that questionnaire is designed to get clear in your own mind. Who's your niche market? What's the message that you want to communicate to them? And what's the medium that you use to get the message to them? Have a go at writing some copy for a product or service using the 8 steps that was covered in a previous webinar, and also in what you discover when you complete the marketing questionnaire. Decide where you would use that copy, so which medium is the best one for you, and then be prepared to share some of your digital media marketing changes and things that you've implemented as a result of the last workshop and this webinar. And we'll go through those things when we meet in August. For people who are listening to this as a recording or who are not already part of one of my mentoring groups, mentoring groups is something that I do with business owners, and I also do one-on-one mentoring and coaching for people who want to move a bit faster or want the personal touch. I run a number of seminars and workshops on getting businesses into a saleable state, a business that will run without you, the owner, having to be there. Facilitations is something else that I do, facilitating groups to achieve different outcomes, strategic planning, all manner of things. Just inquire and I'll tell you if it's an area that I'm keen to do for you. Business buyer and seller advisory services as well. So thank you for being on the call. There are a few ways that you can contact me. john@johndenton.com.au is probably the simplest and easiest. You can follow me on Twitter, like my Facebook business page, find me on LinkedIn or through the website. So thank you all very much for being on the webinar and participating this morning. Thank you again, Peter, for being part of it. And yes, let's get out there and get online. Thank you, everyone, and bye for now.